afternoon. Thanks for joining us right here on Midday Kentucky, everyone. How are we? I haven't seen you since last Thursday.
I know, you seem so refreshed and energetic. I'm just kind of sleepy today.
It's fake news, people.
Oh, is that it?
Fake news.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I was thinking about that this morning. Not fake news. I was thinking I didn't go and have my vitamin B shot on Friday like I normally do. David Goldman from Bluegrass Medical. I forgot.
Yeah?
I forgot. But what I did do is I went and had a few little, you know, those things where they freeze, and they hurt.
Yeah?
I just want you to know they hurt.
Wait a minute, what were they freezing?
Just spots.
Spots?
Yeah, you know me. Something to have done,
You don't
fill
like
my day with something, people.
Important stuff to do, though, because when you notice those moles or any changing things like that, because they can freeze them off before it becomes something more serious. So.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I
glad
didn't
you did
think
that.
about that. Oh, thanks.
Well, I think that's the
Katie.
purpose of doing it, right?
Yeah, but
Thinking of
I'm
skin
now
cancer.
plastered with makeup all over the face, people. Hey, remember I told you last week that I was talking about that new fasting app? And you fast after your, so I eat a meal at 6:30 at night, and then I fast for 16 hours.
Yes.
Loving it.
Really?
I feel great.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That surprises me, because I would be
Why?
starving. I don't think I could do that.
Well, think about it. I had dinner last night at maybe 6:30 or something. This morning I got up, I had a cup of coffee, and then I finished fasting. I think it was at like 11 o'clock today.
Yeah?
So then I had a protein shake, and I'm good to go.
Oh gosh, I need food. I need it
Oh yeah, trust
consistently.
me. I can't. Why do you think I'm doing that Mimi's segment? I'm ready for a good feed. Let me tell you.
It's after 11
exactly.
for sure. So you
I could
definitely
eat the
need
horse of I won't say. Anyway, I saw your sequence yesterday. You went out to a winery on Sunday. Did you like it?
Yeah, I did. Well,
There's
not for a
so many
segment. It was
wineries.
just for a little fun.
Yeah.
Something to see. I went to Wildside in Versailles. We
Yeah.
need to explore more of the different counties around here. So Woodford County, beautiful. Bourbon County, you need to get out there.
I got you.
Yeah.
See
Good,
some more stuff.
good. Hey everyone, I want to bring this up to you because it's something that, as you know, that I've struggled with so much about shoving stuff in my mouth, let me tell you. And here's something: the United States continues to solidify its spot as one of the most obese countries. Now, a new study from research at Duke University shows that childhood obesity is still growing, and nearly 14% of American youth between the ages of 2 and 5 years of age are now considered obese. The finding comes after the Trump administration introduced new school lunch guidelines, relaxing the Obama era, nutritional requirements. When you hear those stats, girls, what do you think?
It's alarming. I mean, 2 to
From
5.
2 to 5.
Yeah, 2 to 5 years old. What was the percentage? It was
14%.
14%. I'm just like in shock by that. I can't even explain. I mean, to me, it really is a learned from their environment type of situation. It really is. Between 2 and 5, I mean, that's something that parents really, they're the ones that are in charge of that child at that age as far as what they're putting in their mouth and everything, and how often they're eating. And I think that, unfortunately, it's definitely becoming a crisis mode if kids that young are being diagnosed as obese.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I agree.
Are parents held responsible?
Yeah.
From 2 to 5.
Well, more than the schools, obviously.
Yeah,
but
because
I
they're
don't
not
want to
at
see
school.
the government telling parents what to feed their kids. I like parents deciding that on their own. But I like some of these programs getting children active and moving, because sometimes maybe you can't afford that soccer camp or things like that. We see so many things popping up here to get kids active for free programs.
Yeah.
I'd like to see more options that are free for people rather than regulation pushed on them.
Totally
more
agree with that.
What do you
resources
mean
for
free?
parents.
Oh, okay.
Camps
Yeah.
or basketball or soccer that you could get your kids in for free.
Are they not free?
Government?
They're
No,
not.
they're very expensive,
They're
to have your
expensive.
kids
Wow.
and things like that. So I'd like to see more resources that are an option for parents for free rather than the government dictating guidelines.
I got you, and I just wonder let me bring you this scenario. If the kids are already obese at 5 years of age, they're already in the habit of eating this type of food, okay? And isn't it harder for them later in life to kick that habit, okay? And then it puts an even bigger strain on the medical services. So we pay more taxes, or your health insurance goes up. I feel as a community, you need to take on some responsibility to help out and show a better after school things, as an example, like what you were saying, or I remember when we were going to school, there was YMCA.
Yes.
I think it's similar to
we
what
have
we
that
have
here.
here. You could go for free and play stuff, but we also had a bigger emphasis on sport at
Right.
our school as
Right.
well. And I worry about it because let me give you an example. Yesterday, I called the doctor to organise some blood work. Okay, and the nursing assistant said to me, I said, look, just let me know what I need to pay, or do I organise this through my insurance? And she said, oh, you'll have to do that. We don't have time to find out what you're covered for. And I sort of said, no, I'm not expecting you to phone the insurance company. And she said, yes, but we've got other things to do. And I thought to myself, wow. Do you know what I mean? I thought, isn't that interesting? Here, I've got health insurance. We all have it here at the station. And I thought to myself, I find it interesting that the medical professionals weren't there to help.
Right.
I don't understand the system here.
Right.
And I think to myself about these kids, they don't know either. Do you know what I mean?
Some offices, just in response to what you just said about your doctor's office,
Yeah.
some offices actually do make that call.
Thank you.
And they do
I knew that.
take care of the insurance and everything
Yeah.
situation. So I think different offices are different with that,
Yeah.
depending on how many employees they have are in the office and what their, what
Well,
their
I just felt I was sort
workload
of
is.
like bummed off a little bit, like,
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what I mean about with the kids. I think, if we take more responsibility.
Right. Well, I agree. I think that, that's not such a bad statement. At first, when you said the community, I was like, I still feel like it's the parents. I was thinking that in my mind, but as a community, overall, it's going to affect our society, like you said, with health rates going up and things like that, to help take care of obese-related issues that come later in this person's life. So I think that as a community, we could do more as far as educating things that are available for being active, and different trails you can walk, different not only walking but bike trails in town, things like that. I think just becoming more vocal, even programs like ABC and other networks, having a community segment like we do on Good Day Kentucky, I think, and allowing that to be out there to let folks know, hey, you have this available.
What do you do on
for
Good Day?
free.
What?
Like we have the YMCA came on yesterday
Yeah.
to talk about programs
they
that
can-
get
Yeah.
We have Girls on the Run.
Right.
There are things that you can do for
Do they
free.
pay
Exactly.
for Girls on the Run?
It's on a sliding scale. Children
Yep.
can go for free, and we'll even provide their tennis shoes and
Oh, nice.
everything. And then fees for the
Right.
other girls go toward funding that. But you don't have to pay anything. But I kind of agree with what Lisa's saying. I think it's a slippery slope holding the community responsible. Where do you want to get a call if your child maybe is a little, overweight? That's not necessarily because you're not feeding them correctly. There are so many other medical things sometimes that can lead to being overweight. And I don't want to see
No,
people
I hear
intervening in
you.
that way. I
Right.
like what you're talking about, just making more resources available and still having it be the parent's choice and responsibility. I think it's like in the home
Yeah.
that parents can decide what's best for their
Yes,
children.
and I don't think by Trump, them using this as an example, Trump scaling back the food program is for people who are at school, not the ages between 2 and 5. I think that is totally on to the parents. Tell us what
Yeah.
you think. Head over to Midday Kentucky's Facebook page and whether you feel that this study is actually on the right path or whether you completely disagree. Hey everyone, the parents who were arrested for taking their infant to a bar the mother was reportedly drinking and breastfeeding her daughter while allegedly offering people sex for beer, have been found not guilty of all charges. Now, these two parents were arrested in June 2017 in Indianapolis after officers were called to the Wild Beaver Saloon at about 12:45 a.m. What's so funny?
I'm sorry, it's not a funny situation, but that's ironic. Never mind. Sorry.
Okay. Am I missing the joke? Everyone else in here's laughing. Okay. Now I've forgotten what I was saying. And basically, they were called there at 12:45 a.m. And Trosclair, who is a former pastor, and this is the father. Now, he's a former pastor, and Tremba and a life coach were both charged with neglect of a dependent in a situation that endangers the dependent and public intoxication. Now, they have since been let off. 20 hours later, the jury said not guilty. Here's my question. The baby was taken away. The baby was tested to see if it had any alcohol in the system. There was no trace of alcohol. Now, reportedly, what was happening. I don't know whether you remember the story on the news. She was breastfeeding the child whilst she was drinking a beer and having a cigarette. She was belligerent when the police came. Both of them were, both parents. Okay? What I'm asking you is, do parents have a responsibility, and can they be charged? This comes back to you. When the government is stepping in, now the police force are the government, okay? Should she have been charged to begin with? And do we have should the police or the government tell you on how you want to raise your child?
Right. Well, if it's endangering the child, yes.
But they got off. So
Well,
the jury didn't think that was the
But
case.
at least the police did the right thing by stopping it, I think. I mean, you know, a parent should not be drinking and breastfeeding. It does transfer. Everything that the mother puts into her body transfers to the baby, whether it's drugs, alcohol, doesn't matter, cigarette smoking, all of that. The cigarette smoking, you know, that's a different story, but the drinking definitely, that transfers into the breast milk, which is getting directly into the child. And I know they didn't find it at that time, but it certainly is going to be transferred
I just
at some
find
point.
it interesting that the father was a pastor and the mother was a life coach. You're just maybe having a bad day and blowing off some steam.
You just never
Do you
know.
know what I mean?
Well, and that's fine.
Just needed a drink.
You know what?
Leave the kid at home.
We all need to blow off steam. We all need that. And as a mother, I know I have times where I need to blow off steam like that and have a few drinks, whatever. But do it responsibly, you know, do it where it's not affecting your child, or it's not even going to affect your child. You know, it's just the way it is. You have
The
to be
jury took
responsible.
20 minutes to say not guilty.
Well, it's probably pretty black and white because we don't know, you know, exactly what is the level that rises to neglect and what were they
Exactly.
presented with. But it could have been one lady just saw her drinking a beer while
apparently-
breastfeeding,
well,
or it
yes.
could just be a group of people. But
Yes,
was
it
there
was, correct.
evidence? And if the child doesn't test for it, people can't be charged just because we think you're a bad parent. It has to be proved.
Yeah.
So I do like that. Hopefully, you know, social services is doing more of an investigation just to protect the child. But you know what I mean? Like, you can only be held legally liable for what is proof. And I think if it took them
Exactly.
20 minutes, maybe it was kind of shady, and I think warrants, you know, CPS to investigate, but maybe not
Yeah.
behind bars because we don't really
It's-
know the whole backstory.
It's funny because I said in one of the meetings this morning, I said, yeah, my mother was a bit of a drinker, a pretty heavy drinker, and I turned out all right. So everyone just went quiet and didn't say a word. And tell us what you think. Head over to our Midday Kentucky Facebook page. Katie, you were talking about, I don't know my neighbours, my friends.
Yeah, so
And
I
this
was
is an
finding
interesting
something
topic.
about the importance of neighbors, and I was wondering, you know, if you guys know your neighbors. I remember growing up, I always, you know, knew my neighbors. They babysit me. You know, my parents would watch them. We'd exchange food, you know, everything. But now, and I'm still like in apartment life, you know, but I don't know any of my neighbors.
Yeah.
And
But do we want to know them?
I would. I will say it when I
Really?
first moved in, I went to my neighbor's door and knocked and
You did?
introduced myself, and they acted like, what
Weirdo.
what did I want? I was like, I'm just saying hi, you know. But I think some people don't want that, like you said. So this is what, so the benefits of knowing your neighbors.
Okay.
You can borrow stuff. How many times do you wish you had something? You know, Manfred
Yeah.
just borrowed a saw from next door. Saved him $150 to have to buy one. That's awesome.
More of those $6 date nights for you.
Yeah, it says you can improve the landscape because people will respect their lawns more when they respect who is next door to you.
Gotcha.
You can keep spare keys. You can ensure peace and quiet. And this was a big thing for people because they say, we've talked a lot about noisy neighbors and how you should act. And they say that if you have a good relationship with your neighbor, it's easier to talk to them if they're too loud, and they're less likely to, you know, infringe upon your peace and quiet if you're friends. And then, you know, expand your social circle. Maybe your
I
buds.
got you.
What about you, Lisa? Are you guys
We're kind of
neighborhood
private.
kids or anything?
Yeah.
We're
Me too.
private, but Jack does make friends with the neighbors
We
because they
kids
have a
make
cat.
friends
so-
with anyone.
Yeah, I know.
They'll
And
talk
he
to the
does.
postman or the milkman.
We would be like, Doug and I are very recluse, quite honestly, if it wasn't for our son.
You're so well known, don't forget.
Julie, stop. But you know, we like to keep to ourselves, but our son has gotten us out and about more with our neighbors.
I don't know. Tell us what you think over our Midday Kentucky Facebook page. I'm a little bit of a recluse at
I
home
just
as
don't
well.
wanna bother
You don't
people.
need to be seeing me in my bathrobe the minute I get home, people. You know?
Well, I don't want that, but I want to be friendly with my neighbors.
All right. Well, take them a bottle of wine and they can curl up on your couch. How's that?
No, that'd be too much.
That's too much.
So
Too-
what's the
too
line?
over.
Hey everyone, up next, WR Ramsey and Associates answer your question regarding tax preparation. You're watching Midday Kentucky, everyone. Stick with us.